could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Talk 1470 is WWNN Pompano Beach and 95.3 FM W237BD Boca Raton, the Health and Wealth Radio Network.
If you have investments and are tired of watching your money disappear when the market goes down, then feel you're not making enough when it goes back up, do something and fix all that. Take an investment class at Online Trading Academy. They teach the smart way to trade stocks, options, futures, forex, even Bitcoin. You're taught in a classroom by pro traders who are certified, currently trade, and profitable. They show you what they do every day, how to pick the right investments, how money is made in up, down, and sideways markets, how to time the market, and how to limit the risk on all trades using a patented rules-based strategy taught only at Online Trading Academy. Call now for a pair of tickets to a free half-day class in Broward or Palm Beach to see if it's right for you. You'll also get a copy of the Wall Street Insiders Kit, packed with valuable trading ideas, free. Call now. Online Trading Academy, 954-668-2510, 954-668-2510, 954-668-2510.
Staying healthy is difficult. What nutritional supplements should you take? What foods are best for you? What health practitioner should you see? You've got health questions, I've got health answers. From heartburn to hemorrhoids, pain to pimples, carpal tunnel to the common cold, gluten to gallbladder, and gingivitis, and all points in between. I'm Dr. Bob Martin. Tune into my Sunday talk show at 10 o'clock on Talk 1470 WNN.
What you want to know. What you need to know. Talk 1470 WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
This is Tanoa Lynn Poirier, and I want to welcome you to Comm-Unity Conversations on WNN 95.3 FM and 1470 AM. This show is about you. I want to hear your trials and triumphs, challenges and victories, and how you overcome obstacles every day in our dynamic industry. All callers are welcome to join Community Conversations. This is where we'll discuss all things in common. We'll discuss managers, directors, vendors, and owners. Let's elevate the conversation. Raise the bar. Start here, now. Good afternoon, and welcome to Community Conversations with Tanoa. I'm your host, Tanoa Lynn Poirier. If you are listening on the radio or you're listening to WNN 95.3 FM, I believe in Palm Beach County, you can also catch me on 103.9 FM, 1470 AM. And if you want to watch and listen, you can join me on Facebook.com/Hello Tanoa. For past shows, go to hellotanoa.com. There's a theme here. Are you sensing that? And you can look for past shows, blogs, vlogs, information about me, including speaking at your event, which is one of my great pleasures in life. So if you have something coming up and you need either CE credits or speaker, I'm available. Just check it out. I am so happy, as always, to join you on a Friday. But I was encouraged this week to remind people that Monday through Thursday is also our wonderful days. And so don't discount 60% of your life waiting for the weekend. Every day is a gift. And so just remember Monday through Thursday are also good days because people work different schedules. So it's not just Friday. But I'm glad you're here. I want to start off by talking to my managers first. So for those of you who manage community associations, HOAs, condos, co-ops in some cases, even mobile homes and timeshares, which all fall under this license, that you are appreciated. I know that you work with difficult people under challenging circumstances, often under what seem like impossible deadlines. You're in early, you stay late, you attend board meetings, you are under a high stress environment. But I want to tell you that there are people including me, who see you, what you do every day. And I want to just say thank you. If you haven't gotten a thank you this week, thank you for all you do. And I will tell you that there are lots of people whom you serve, maybe not the chronics who complain all the time, and it's the same people anyway. The people whom you don't hear from do appreciate you. They see what you're doing every day. They see that their properties run well, are beautiful. The grass is cut. The landscaping looks great. The pool is clean. And they don't complain. And you know what? A complaint equals a thank you. So I want you to remember that. No news is good news in our case, right? But I also want to say thank you to board members and committee members and all those who volunteer, all of the unpaid labor and associations. And you know who you are if you're listening. There are some of you I know who have served previously or are currently serving as directors or committee members for over a decade, and some many more where no one else will step up. So you continue to step up and you care about your community. And so you want to make sure that things are run well, that you're protecting your own asset and those of your neighbors. And you continue to serve and give. And for us who professionally manage your communities, we see all that you do. And we thank you for trusting us with your huge asset in helping you make sure that your community stays as beautiful and efficient as it can. And so thank you for trusting us with that. And thank you for your volunteer labor. You know, it reminds me as I am saying these thank yous, there are people who don't serve formally in these communities. And I have what I call my eagle eyes. It really does take a village. And it takes what I have termed the three-leg stool. And you can find that on hellotanoa.com along with other blogs. But it takes the owners or the residents, the board and the manager, to keep a proper balance in the community. But it also takes people who are looking out for you when you are not there in the evenings or early morning and they notice something and don't just keep it to themselves. And when you come in, say, hey, I noticed this. This wasn't done. You said, or your staff said this was going to be done yesterday and it wasn't done. Don't feel defensive when that happens. That is an accountability partner for you. Thank them for noticing and telling you so that you can fix it. Because if you make it so that they feel that they can't come into your office or tell you something's wrong, they won't. And that extra pair of eyes are the thing that you really want, because it does take a village. So thank those eagle eyes and those looky-loos and those people who tell you what's going on. It is just for your benefit and the benefit of your staff. So don't let that stress you out. Use that. Use them. Assign them a task. Say, okay, well, you're in charge of pod D, or you're in charge of building A, or you're in charge of the entire pool area, and I want you to be my helper in this regard. You cannot believe how wonderful that will make them feel. Everyone wants to feel useful, feel like they can make a contribution, and they're telling you for a reason because they care. Use it. Leverage that extra pair of eyes. It'll help you do a better job, and more will get done, and you will see things that you won't be able to see unless you have your looky-loos. So that's your tip for today. But I want to take your pulse today. How are you doing? How are you doing? We're just post first quarter, and so you're probably, as I am, planning for the rest of the year, all of those projects. Are you feeling stressed? Are you feeling, that you're kind of on an even keel? Are you feeling like you have it in the bag right now? If you are the latter, good for you. If you are the former, where you're feeling stressed, it's going to be okay. Yes, there's a lot to do, and your list may seem long, but you have to eat the elephant a bite at a time. And you just need to get organized. Make sure you start from the end, right? And work back, as we talk about often. Managing big projects it envisions the end. So what do you need to do if you have to complete a major repair, or do a complete remodel, or do a room addition, or whatever it is your association needs you to do? Work back from the end date of when that's supposed to be done and work forward by getting your timeline together. Does there need to be a vote of the community? If so, have you started that process? Does there need to be a series of closed bids? Do you need to hire a consultant to help you? Do you have enough money to fund this project? If not, have you started the loan process? Do you see where I'm going? It's our responsibility to help the association realize their goals, but sometimes when there are several projects, it feels daunting. Don't be daunted. You can do this. You got this. I see you, and I know you because I am you. So remember, just work backward. Make your milestones, your timelines backward, and then you can figure out when you need to start because you know when you need to finish. And I also remind you, and I'm going to remind you again, when you're doing big projects, take before, during, and after photos. Why do I constantly recommend that? It is because some communities I serve, is, the motto is, what have you done for me lately, right? And I think we often forget even our contribution to professional management. We are just, ticking off our boxes and making sure things get done and checking our list. And when we look back with pictures and see all that we've accomplished on behalf of the association with the help of the board and owners, we can see the value of professional management. So if someone were to ask you today, what did you do over the last 6 months? You probably couldn't think of all of the things you did, and you'd leave out half of the amazing things you were able to accomplish because you didn't do your before, during, and after photos. At the end of 2018, if you will take my advice, you are going to find that you have a portfolio of accomplishments that is going to, one, build your confidence. The more you accomplish, the better you feel about being able to accomplish the next big thing. It will demonstrate to your board and owners the value of professional management, the value of your management council advice and recommendations, not to mention your expertise and experience. And the last thing is, if you have a portfolio of the things that you've accomplished, when it's time to move on, you can take these accomplishments with you. So when you are sitting in an interview, when it's time to move on, and they'll say, well, just tell me some things that you've done. What kinds of things have you accomplished? You'll be say, well, let me tell you what I've been able to do. It'll be fresh in your mind. You'll have pictures and documentation, and that will also build your confidence and help you when the next assignment comes up. And lastly, the best reason to take before, during, and after photos of your projects is that at the end of the year, you're going to write a report, and you're going to include those photos, and you'll be able to present that to the board because there comes a time when you want an increase in pay, or you want an increase in the time you have off for vacation, or whatever your thing is. You've got to be able to justify it, because just your word won't work. Trust me. And that will help you with your year-end report. So segregate those by month so that you'll be able to refer to those when you do your PowerPoint, or however you're going to do it. I recommend PowerPoint. You will be able to easily access those. And if one of your staff members is a good photographer, have them go out and take care of it and catalog those for you. You don't have to do everything. That is definitely something you can delegate. So thank you again for all you do. Board members and managers and unofficial and official committee members, you really do make the work for us easier. And as a community, we get stronger. Even though we're not officially a part of your community, we really do care. One of the things that I always also want to recommend to you as managers and board members, if you're listening, is kind of contract review, particularly for large communities. And this is applicable to small communities, but large communities have a lot going on. They have huge landscape contracts and communications contracts, utilities you can't do very much about, but you may be able to keep track of those and find out when those rates are going to go up or down. Certainly management, security, insurance, etc., that are a huge part of your budget. All of those things I named is probably 70% of the budget, and only 30% or less is discretionary. Those are all mandatory expenses. Without getting in the weeds too much, I want you to, if you haven't already, create a contract schedule. That will help you remember when those contracts expire, whether or not those folks that you have under contract are licensed and insured, and that's general liability and workers' comp. Really important, and we're going to circle back to the workers' comp and the importance of that. How long they've been a vendor. Some contracts are really long, 5, 7, 10 years, and those are typically communications contracts. But the fine print of those say, if you don't let us know that you want to renegotiate the contract or terminate the contract 90 or 120 or 100, I don't know, 100 or more days ahead of time, we're just going to auto-renew that. And then there's nothing you can do to get out of it. So it's really important that you help track that for your communities that you serve. But there are also the auto-renewing contracts. Now, they just auto-renew, and you can cancel those with 30, 60, 90 days notice. But if you haven't kept track of those deadlines, including the termination deadlines for those communities, those are going to auto-renew, and it's going to be difficult to get out of. And for those contracts that you've had that do not auto-renew, that need to be renewed every year, I think it's probably time, if you haven't done it for a while, is to evaluate with the board members who are assigned to those particular areas of the community, or in a smaller community, kind of with the board, and say, how do we feel about the relationship with the attorney and the landscaper and the irrigation contractor and the roofer and the consultant, engineer, CPA? Are we happy with those contractors? Do we feel they are meeting their obligation? And I'll tell you that the challenging part of that, and the reason to evaluate those contracts, is because if they are not responsive any longer, because they just kind of feel like, oh, I've got that one, I've got that community, I've been there for 10 years, nothing's going to change, and they're neglecting returning your phone calls, showing up on time, kind of meeting their obligations. For example, there's a contractor, a landscaping contractor, who very often comes through a community that is high-end and beautiful. And I have to remind them that removing dead plant material is kind of a no-brainer, and that's not something I should continually have to remind them of. So take out the dead material because that's unattractive. Provide me and the association with a proposal to renew. But also, if it's dead and you're taking care of the landscaping and the irrigation, what is the reason? Is it pest? Is it too much irrigation? Is it too little irrigation? Is it the lifespan of that plant or shrub or tree expired? Those kinds of relationships that we expect the vendors to monitor because that's what they're paid to do. That's not happening, even though you may love them personally, that you have a beer with them on a Friday night, or you go to church or temple with them. This is business, and you are there to serve the association. And if those relationships have begun to be neglected, or they're neglecting you and the association in terms of service, it's time to have that conversation. But it's difficult to do that if you have not prepared a contract schedule. And here's how this looks. You are going to go through all of your contracts. You're going to find the commencement date of those, the termination date of those, the terms, the payment schedules, whether or not you have their insurance, the contact information, name, phone numbers, email address, fax numbers, any other contact information, website, etc., and have your assistant, if you're blessed enough to have one, put it in a schedule for you on a spreadsheet, and keep this for yourself, but also share this with board members. They are partners with you. They also need this information. You cannot do this on your own. So as you are going through all of these vendors, you may even be reminded that some of the contracts that are in your hopefully binder, because we've talked about organization, if they're in manila files somewhere in your office, let me encourage you to put all of them in a binder alphabetically so that you can easily access them in the event someone demands to review the documents. It is a much easier process for you. So as you go through all of the contracts in your binder, which I'm sure you've already prepared, or if you haven't, that you will, and compile this information as a ready reference for yourself and the association and the board. And then just kind of one by one review when the expiration date of those contracts are, and kind of give yourself a 1 through 5, of 1 being the lowest and high being the best, of what the status of that relationship is with that vendor, and have the discussion with the board members so that they can be informed. And it may be something as easy as saying, I kind of feel like I'm not feeling the love from you anymore. What's going on? They can say, I've been busy, I've been sick. There are extenuating circumstances, and you can work through it. But if you don't have the conversation with them and you just say, okay, we're terminating the contract, and they've been with you for 10 years, that's probably not a good idea. They've had the contract for a long time because at one point they were good. So start with the process. Start with compiling the information, contract schedule, contract termination schedule, contract renewal schedule, call it whatever you want. But I'm telling you, if you will do this, it will make your life easier. You will look like a superstar, and you will be able to get a handle kind of on what's going on in the community. I want to circle back to the insurance piece, and we've had insurance guests here. I cannot stress enough how important it is for managers to work with licensed vendors. And you will have some vendors with whom you have worked who have elected to not carry insurance because, trust me, it costs a lot of money to do business correctly, properly, according to good business practices. Workers' comp insurance and general liability insurance is expensive. But hiring people who are licensed and insured, and if necessary, bonded, depending on what their expertise is, and also licensed if they're general contractors, making sure you have all of that information before they begin any work on your property is going to save your bacon. Trust me. And actually, I take that back, because when people say trust me, I don't trust them. So let's rewind that. I want you to hear me when I tell you how important it is to make sure that your vendors are licensed and insured, particularly workers' comp. And I want you to do the same and encourage the same for people who live in your community who hire cheap, inexpensive, unlicensed, sometimes inexperienced labor, because it will, it's going to cost them. They're going to end up being a member of the family of the people they're working for. If something happens, heaven forbid, on their property, and I'm talking about private homeowners in their residences, they are not insured. The vendors are not insured. They are going to pay the wages, the medical bills, and the workers' comp for those people on their property. So super important, vital, not negotiable for communities, but encourage people who hire workers in their residences to do the same. And if they won't do it, find another, because there will be somebody who wants to do business the right way. It will cost you a little more, but it may cost you significantly less in the long run. So that is my speech about that. And I'm going to get off my soapbox right now about that, but I can't even begin to tell you how important it is. The last thing I want to share with you is supporting support staff. And this has come up recently because as I begin to transition out of a community that I'm saying goodbye to, and I'm leaving on good terms, and it's kind of bittersweet because now the people are telling me how much they appreciate me, and it's amazing. The only thing I ever want is to make sure I've left a positive impact on the community that I'm serving. So it seems that that's the case, and I'm delighted. But your support staff needs to know that you have their back, even when they're working with you, when they are no longer working with you. I want you to make sure that there's an open door, that they can tell you when something has gone wrong, when something isn't working, when they have made a mistake, when they have gotten something wrong, or maybe they said something they shouldn't have. Many times I find that if they can just come and say, hey, I screwed up. And I will say, how do we fix it? How did this happen, and how do we fix it? And how do we make sure it doesn't happen again? but they come to me and say, oh, I think I screwed up, or I think I got the wrong part, and now I have to go back, and I've already been gone for an hour, or whatever the small thing is. If they're afraid of you, they won't share it with you. And these are the things you need to know, because it's going to get out. Someone's going to tell you. There are all sorts of eyeballs, as you know, in the community, and they're going to tell you. Your support staff needs to know that you have their back. If they make a mistake, just say, you know what, I think I screwed up. What happened? Tell me about it. Let's fix it together. It's really important that they understand that. And so if your support staff doesn't feel that way, is there something you can do to change that tomorrow? Or I guess maybe not tomorrow, because tomorrow's Saturday, but maybe Monday and the weeks following, that you have their back. It's super important. The other thing is don't take them out of their lane. And by that I mean, if they're very good and they're janitorial or administrative or maintenance, the administrative staff isn't the manager. They cannot make the decisions. Do not expect them to do your job or make those decisions. That's your responsibility as a manager. But if you can empower them to make decisions about the small things like what office supplies to buy, what color paper to use, those kinds of things, it doesn't make any difference. Things that don't make any difference to your legal obligation under licensing rules and statutes, let them do it their way. Don't micromanage what they're doing. If they're maintenance, do not ask them to do something beyond their ability. If they are doing some minor fixtures, hanging a ceiling fan or changing a light fixture, changing light bulbs, doing minor irrigation, changing, you name it. You know what I mean. Maintenance are charged with doing all sorts of things. But there are times when only a plumber, only an electrician, or only a general contractor or someone with a license is qualified to do some things that are asked of maintenance staff and associations. You're going to get yourself in trouble, and you're going to get them in trouble. And here's the thing, is that they're not going to want to say no to you. So if you say, now I need you to find that wire and splice that and get in there and dig it up and make sure that you identify where the fault in the line is, that's not their job. Will they try and do it? Probably. Should they be doing it? No, they should not be doing it. And don't ask them. Don't ask them to get outside of their lane. I'm running out of time, and I have just been talking and talking and talking. But I think these are important. And the last thing is it time to promote them? Do you have someone on your staff who's a support staff, and it's time to say, you know what, you are so ready for the next phase, and so I'm going to support you in getting a license. The company is going to pay for that license once you pass, and then I'm going to mentor you to do the next thing. And you know who you are, and you know who they are. If you feel you're ready and you're listening and you haven't said anything to your supervisor or boss, tell them. Tell them that you're ready for the next phase. Ask them to support and mentor you. And if there's anything I can do, you know how to reach me. I would be delighted to mentor you, share. That's why I wrote the book, 365 Tips. That's why I do the show. That's why I've done the blogs. If you're ready, step up. If your staff is ready, lift them up.
The opinions expressed on the following spot.
It's been my pleasure to talk to you this Friday. Have an awesome weekend. It's been so much fun. We didn't have a commercial break. Did you notice that? I just kept talking and talking. Thanks again for listening. An exciting show next week. Be a blessing to somebody. See you next time. Bye. You have been listening to Community Conversations with Tanoa Lynn Poirier. It is my honor to host this program, and I appreciate you listening. We have an exciting show planned for you next week, so mark your calendars and join me every Friday at 5 p.m. on WNN 95.3 FM and 1470 AM. We look forward to hearing from you, our listeners. It's all about learning, sharing, and teaching. We're all in this together. Until next time, be a blessing to someone and endeavor to persevere.